Trying to decide how to rejuvenate old teak? Varnish, Cetal, Semco, oil? Or should you use something else? Hi, I'm Carolyn Sherlock, and on this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast, I'll talk about choosing a teak cleaner and finish. Now, this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by Teak Guard, the product I decided to go with. But don't think I'm recommending it because they're a sponsor. No, it was the other way around. I researched, chose, and bought Teak Guard on my own. Then, once I saw the results, I contacted the company about becoming a sponsor. I seriously love this stuff. Teak Guard and their Super Teak Cleaner is from allguardproducts.com. Looking to refinish your boat's teak with a minimum of PFAS? Look no further. Their non-toxic, water-based formulas for cleaning and finish will turn your teak from dingy to sparkling in no time. Use coupon code BG20 for 15% off your order of $50 or more. allguardproducts.com. Admire your teak, don't maintain it. Step 1 in our boat interior renovation was to clean and refinish all the interior teak. There were several problems that needed to be addressed. It was very dark. There were light places where previous owners had pictures. There were screw holes, and there was what could only be called a gunky buildup where hands had rubbed daily. And on what should be a gorgeous showpiece counter, there were black rings from where, apparently, a can of used oil had been set down. The rail next to the steps to go down into each hull was literally black with oil and gunk from hands grabbing it many times a day. The teak in many areas of the galley was also black. My goal was to clean the teak so that the black was gone and it was a uniform color. Hopefully a nice light teak color, not the dark, almost mahogany color that it had become. Then I wanted to add some sort of a finish to the teak to protect it and keep it looking nice. To be honest, I didn't know exactly what I wanted. I did know that I didn't really want varnish, both as it tends to darken teak and I wanted something that was easier to apply. I also didn't want something that was prone to cracking and peeling, which varnish is. Another option was Cetal, which gives a look similar to varnish. It just wasn't the look I wanted, and it can also bubble, crack, and peel. I was looking for both a cleaner and a finish, and I knew that usually it was best to use products designed to work together. Previous owners of our boat had used teak oil on it. I found numerous partial bottles of different brands when we'd first moved aboard. But my basic research said that most teak oils simply fed mold and the blackening. I'd used Semco on the exterior teak on our previous boat, Cetal, and that was a possibility. Semco is much like Thompson's water seal, but for teak on boats. Semco is extremely easy to apply, but I wasn't sure if it was really the look I wanted inside the boat. And then there was the whole cleaning process. I knew this was going to be a big project, and I wanted something that would work with a minimum of effort. But I also wanted something environmentally friendly. And since I was working inside the boat, I didn't want anything that required massive hosing down or caustic chemical brews. I didn't want anything that would hurt the gel coat abutting the teak either. Most two-part solutions were quickly ruled out as being too harsh, not environmentally friendly, hard to use, and or potentially damaging to the gel coat. I began researching, and after a bunch of reading, discovered the Teak Guard family of products. The Super Cleaner got high marks for effectiveness and ease of use, as well as the fact that it was non-toxic and wouldn't harm the gel coat. Further, it would actually kill mold or mildew spores present, so the wood wouldn't start blackening under my new finish. I learned that solutions using bleach or TSP wouldn't actually kill the mold and mildew. This became very important to me. I was somewhat skeptical of the claim that it only took 1/10 the labor of the company's previous cleaner formulation, but I thought that it looked like the best option I'd found. The Teak Guard finish also looked like a winner. First, it wouldn't feed mold and mildew. Second, it breathes so that any moisture in the wood can simply escape rather than causing the finish to crack and peel, the problems that I'd had with varnish and acetal. I absolutely did not want something that I would have to repeatedly clean or sand in the future, both from a work standpoint, but more importantly because most of our teak is a thin veneer and simply can't be sanded many times before it will be gone. Much of the teak guard literature talks about using it for exterior applications, including boat decks, and so I called the company to get a little more information. Yes, it can be used inside. For outside use, they recommend a maintenance coat every year, but as the interior gets far less UV, it would probably only be needed every 2 to 3 years when the finish started showing a haze. But there's no sanding or deep cleaning needed before the maintenance coats, just washing with soap and water and letting it dry. The fact that Teak Guard produces a non-slippery finish was a bonus. I had long wanted to redo the floors with something other than the varnish and urethane that was presently on them, and then eliminate the rugs. I wanted to see the beautiful teak and holly floors. All in all, Teak Guard sounded like the type of cleaner and finish that I wanted. There's also the fact that I liked the look of it in their pictures, how it finished. So I ordered the starter kit and began by cleaning and finishing one sliding door handle to see how it worked and if we liked the look. Yes, we did. I continued with the project, cleaning a small area for a day, letting it dry overnight, and then putting several coats of finish on over the next few days. The company recommends waiting no more than a day between cleaning and finishing so that the wood's natural oils won't rise to the surface and allow mold to begin forming again. Now, it is slightly cheaper to buy a small bottle of the super cleaner and one of the finish than to buy the starter kit that includes various cleaning tools. I used their tools at first, and they'd be good for teak that was not badly stained. I ended up using a somewhat different technique for dealing with my really awful teak than from the instructions they gave. I used a paintbrush to slather the teak cleaner on, and then sanded with 80 grit wet sandpaper, and then rinsed it off with wet rags. I kept repeating until it was all a uniform color. Now, if you have teak that was previously had varnish or acetal on it, you're going to have to sand it down to bare wood, then apply the cleaner to get the oils out, and then the finish. I had to do this with a few doors and in the head. I'm thrilled because our teak all looks the same now, and it certainly did before, with most having oil and a few pieces varnish. Now I get it. The previous people had put varnish in the places that were likely to get some water, such as the head and the shower. But because Teak Guard is designed for exterior applications, you can use it everywhere. Now, for any substantial amount of teak work to be done, their half-gallon bottles are a far better deal. As my teak was in such bad condition, I found that I needed about twice as much super cleaner than what their usage guidelines suggested. I put 4 coats of finish on most vertical surfaces, 6 to 8 on horizontal surfaces, and 10 to 12 on high traffic areas such as handholds, handles, and the floor. A year and a half later, I'm still thrilled with how the Teak Guard looks and how it has worn. I needed to apply a few maintenance coats in the highest wear areas, such as handholds, and I did the maintenance coats on the floorboards a few weeks ago. It was delightfully simple. Just wash them down with soap and water, rinse, let them dry, and apply a couple of coats of Teak Guard. No sanding. And since I could remove my floorboards from the boat, I didn't even have to tape things off. Seriously, if you have teak, inside or outside your boat, I highly recommend Teak Guard and their Super Teak Cleaner for removing years of built-up gunk. Thank you for joining us on the Boat Galley podcast. Tell your friends and subscribe so you never miss an episode.